So hello guys, today we will have a quite simple topic but still very actual. It's the Blazor server on the .NET 7 cookie authorization and authentication. So why this topic is still actual? Because we have nowadays a lot of approaches and possible concerns, but not all of them are good and equal. So, for example, we have this application. It's just locally run, and it has just the login dialog with no logic for now. So, and we want to apply the logic just to that dialog. So we have some controls here, so everything is working. And if we try to use one of the existing approaches, so for example, we will go to the Google and search how to so I will show the possible approaches. So for example, I have found some of them previously regarding the Blazor, and we will see everything like here we see the GWT authentication, so but it's not very suitable to the Blazor server. It's mostly for the Blazor WebAssembly, so and it's written there, but it's a very complex approach, and we wanted to have something not so difficult. So because it's so it's not very easy at all. Next, let's look at this side. So what is mentioned here? So here we have the Blazor server, and it uses the identity, but identity is also quite complex and not used not in all the cases. So, and here, if we look at the front end part of the solution, we will see, so here we see just the implementation through the CS HTML page, which is not natively a Blazor component. So it's kind of workload from the Razor pages, and it does not fit to all these scenarios. So next, what we have here? Oh yeah, it's pretty old approach. So, and if we look here, so we see the pretty much of this setup and configuration. Also we have the CS/HTML legacy pages, and so it's not a very simple approach in terms of the amount of code, and it's far from perfect. So let's look at the other approach, and here we see so cookie authentication, and here we can see even the JS calls to the .NET functions, which of course could be used, but potentially it's completely not great approach in terms of testability and system stability, so it's not very fine at all. Okay, so let's proceed to the simple one. So here we have the basic setup of this application, and we have already added some cookie options, but it's not completely the authentication and authorization. And here, so we have we should add this, not this, but in terms of cookies for sure. Because these policies are not set by default, and for example, if you want to have your application precisely secure, you should add this just this way. And also we have this authorization and authentication middlewares, but here we are gonna also to add the configuration just like here. So, and we are gonna to add the builder.services. So it's the complete the same setup as it used to be in the MVC application. So if you're experienced with that, so this does not have any difficulties or the other stuff. So builder services add authentication. We are specifying the scheme of the cookie authentication, and we are adding the cookie. So that's just it. Next, what we have to ensure next. So here we have the app.razor. So and here we are gonna to wrap this router into the scene called cascading authentication state. So we need that just to ensure that our front-end components will work as it is expected. Okay, so we have done that, and of course we can yeah, so we have some pre-setups here, so we can finally uncomment and run some code for the not authorized user. And for example, for authorized user, let's provide some text. So for example, let it be the maybe h1. So okay, so let it be this way. And also we have this fragment, so just to show the username and user role for the authenticated user. But for now we do not have anything in this dialog, so we have just the inputs but no logic how we will authenticate that user. So, and we of course can rerun this application just to ensure that everything has been set up correctly. So, and yeah, maybe I have one problem. Scheme, what exactly? Scheme already exists. Very interesting. So let's locate. Yeah. So fortunately we have added that for the second time. Yeah. So this this double addition, of course, will will result into the error. So here we have just the same functionality, and let's proceed with the addition of the exactly login function. So what we are gonna to do first? So here we have the preset scene of the setup, which is for the minimal API. So for minimal API, I mean that we will do the login and logout APIs here. So of course, in many tutorials you can see that the usage of the API controller, but of course the approach of the minimal APIs is more modern for now, so and more widely used. So and yeah, let's and so login we will implement this in a bit later. So let's create this one, and here in terms of logout we need just two things. So we can use the regular method for the logout, so it will be the await context.signout async and the response redirect. So and the duplication here. Okay, so here in the login we will use the our backend service, which is also registered in the program.cs, and here we have not implemented a login method, and here is just the regular approach which came from MVC application. So here we are just signing out the user using the existing authentication scheme which is provided just here. And the next action should be response redirect. So because we should, in terms of the Blazor and Blazor, probably both WebAssembly and server, we should redirect the user to yeah, but if this would be the index page, of course we can redirect the user to any page, but this redirect should be done just to apply the updated headers, so the cookie header, and to refresh the authentication and authorization state. So because using this one, we are removing the cookie from the user's browser, and we need to update the HTTP context for that exact user. So this is in terms of logout, and after that we need to implement some logic here in the dialog. So what should we add in the dialog? So here we have just the text fields, okay, and of course the regular approach could potentially include something like close block, and for example on the submit click, and using the navigation manager we will navigate the user to some action. But this approach will not work for the login action, because we should call this API from here, just using the regular post call. So we should not do that using some Blazor's actions and so on, because if we would use these actions, we will not refresh the HTTP context it's first, and also we will not be able to apply any changes to the headers, because there will be a kind of well-known error with in description something like that the headers could not be updated when the request has started. So that's why we are going to use just the regular form element, so which came just from the HTML. So it's not the just anything like Blazor specific and so on. So we are going to envelop everything this into the form. And here we can leave just this button type submit, so because this one ensures that this component will be rendered just as a button, just as an input with the type submit, so that's okay. And here we are gonna to specify just two things. So the first one will be the action, so the action will be the login. And the next parameter should be the method, because the method of, of course, we can try to do that without method to see. And let's put the breakpoint here. So, and let's try just with these plain credentials, and so if we will not specify strictly the post method, we will include these parameters not in a post but in the GET request and in the query string, which is not a recommended approach for the passing of any kind of semi-secure data, because so login data should not be here. So of course we are going to update this with the method, and the method will be post. So let's retry this form. So we are submitting it, and let's look. So here we have the HTTP context and everything from the context. Okay, next let's implement the login method logic. So what should be in this method? So there is nothing so difficult and so on, but of course we need some stuff. So so that's the default probably implementation, and that seems to be correct, but so pretty correct. And I will refactor this a bit and explain what we are doing exactly here. So first of all, we are gonna to find the user against the credentials that this user has provided, and if we are not passing the data just in the parameter here, so when this data should be, we have the HTTP context and the data from the form submitted from the dialog is stored within the request.form and the field name. So by field name I mean the name attribute here. So here we have this name and this name. So, and these names are just the keys to retrieve the values here from the request form. So, and these values should be aligned. Next, we have the condition of the just if the DB user is not null, because if the user is null, there is no need to sign this user in. So, and after that, what we are gonna to do? So here we have in the sign async, we need to create the new claims principal. So claims principal just as the principal for the user we are logging in, and this principal is based on the claims identity. So we are going to create the identity, and we are providing the list of the claims. So the claims, of course, they can be different, but we are gonna to specify these two ones. So as the name, we're specifying the user's email from the database, and as the role, we are specifying the user's role from the database. And after that, we also need to specify the authentication scheme of this application. So of course, we can probably replace that hard code with this constant. So let's do it in a more correct way. So the cookie authentication defaults authentication scheme. So because this is a better approach. And after that, of course, here we need to redirect the user to the login page, because if, for example, let me show without this, and moment. So for example, let's also look at the cookies. So for example, this one. Yeah, so let's just clear these cookies. So we have the app just without cookies, and we are specifying the semi-valid credentials. So these ones should be okay. So we are trying to log in, and here we are going to this method, and yeah, we have probably the other error. So the object must implement a converter both string values to the string. Yeah. So, yeah. So probably this kind of error with the database request. So, and the better approach would be just to bring these values out from the request, because entity framework sometimes has these limitations, so we cannot provide the parameters exactly to the request. So let's retry. And let's look at this dialog. So yeah, something very interesting. So and yeah, so we have Probably it's not the case with the parameters, but we should strictly specify the toString, because this thing is not the string value, so it's kind of specific form type, and of course it cannot be converted to the regular string. So that's why we have got this error 2 times. So let's submit it, and yeah, so here we have this user. Yeah, so this one is in the database, and for example, we are signing this user in, everything seems to be fine, so everything has returned, and let's resume. Yeah, and here we have just this page without the redirect, so it's not very good, and we of course we should do this redirect, so just to redirect the user to the index page. So and this should be quite enough to log in the user to our application. So and let's test it. So and why do we see this text? Because on the previous attempt, the user has been successfully logged in, but hasn't been redirected to the index page. So that's why we have seen that blank page, but the cookie has been applied. So if we go to the application, so here we have the cookie for this authorization. And for example, if we log out the user, so we have the hard reload here, and we have no cookie here. So, and when we try to re-log in this user, we are submitting the data, and so we have this cookie. But this scenario, of course, is not perfect, like in the case when the credentials are specified as the invalid ones. So in this case, the dialog just disappears and the user is not logged into the app. But for some scenarios, it could be enough. So, and of course, we will try to implement the backend logic for this case. So that's it for today. Hopefully this video will be useful to you for your Blazor applications development. If you have any ideas or comments, you are free to message me, and I'm really open for discussion.